Krishna. Welcome back to the series of discussing Vastu Shastra. Today we shall be discussing about the land Vastu principles. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today's session we'll be discussing about the principles of Vastu Shastra for selecting a land. Especially in today's day and age, it's a little difficult because people generally don't buy the land. But especially when you have opportunity to buy a land and construct your own home, or in case of constructing a temple or building a community, so there is always selection of the land. And in Vastu principles, selecting the piece of land is very crucial and important. So here are the few things which should be taken into consideration. First and foremost thing is the land should be facing the four cardinal directions. That is, the four sides of the land should be facing east, west, north and south. The corners of the land should be facing the subdirection, that is northeast, southeast, southwest and northwest. This is very crucial. Many times you'll see the land is divided in such a way that the four directions of the land are facing the subdirections, that is northeast, southeast, southwest and northwest. That kind of property is called a diagonal property because the diagonal directions are facing the four sides of the land. That kind of land is not considered auspicious and should be avoided. Then comes, slope. Slope of the land is also one of the very important considerations. Generally, the slope of the land should be either northeast, east, or north, which is considered very good and auspicious. That means the slope of the land should be lower on the northeast side compared to southwest, lower on the east side compared to the west, and should be lower on the north side compared to south. Because it is believed in the Vastu Shastra that the positive energies, they always come from north and east side, whereas the negative energies, they flow in from the south and west side. So if the south and west are higher, the negative energies are blocked, and the positive energy that flows from north and east side, it is conserved in the southwest corner of the property. So therefore it is considered very crucial to select the proper slope of the land. Now, it's not that the slopes which is not sloping towards east or north is inauspicious for all purposes. Every land has its own purpose. So the slopes of the land which is sloping toward the east is extremely good for people who are scholarly, professors, priestly class, teachers, philosophers. In other words, in Vedic terminology, the Brahminical class of people, it's very auspicious for them, especially people who are very much into practice of spirituality. East slope is considered very auspicious for all of them. The slope on the north side is considered auspicious for people who are in the government administration, politicians, or government services. Those people, it's considered good to have the land which is sloping toward the north. Businessmen or people who are in the banking, farmers or financial advisors, for them the west slope is the south slope is also considered very good for them. Whereas the west slope is good for people in the service industry or entertainment industry, it's good for them. So, in simple Vedic terminology, east slope is good for Brahmanical class, north is good for Kshatriyas, south is good for Vaishyas, and west is good for Shudras. Sometime it is referred as south and west are interchanged. That means south is considered auspicious for Shudras and west is considered auspicious for businessmen. So they are both the views in the scriptures, but north and east are definitely good for Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. East is good for Brahmanas and north is good for Kshatriyas. Then the shape of the land is another consideration. Shape of the land is ideally it should be square or rectangle. If it is rectangle, it cannot be more than 1:2 ratio. That means the land in the east to west direction can be 1 ratio and north to south can be 2 ratios. So it should not be more than 1:2 ratio. Otherwise, it is again considered inauspicious. And if it is the case, then it should be rectified. There are some principles of rectification. Now, there are two kinds of land generally which are considered good for business and residential purpose respectively. The land which is broader at the entrance and narrow towards the end, it's considered Vyagramukhi. Vyagra means tiger. So you see, tiger's face is wide at the front, but as goes to the neck, it becomes a little narrow. So the Vyagramukhi land is good for the business purpose. Whereas Gomukhi means, you see, cow's face is generally narrow at the beginning, but it becomes wider at the back. So the land which is narrow at the entrance but it becomes wider at the back is considered auspicious for the residential purpose. So this is the shape of the land. There are also shapes of the land which are triangular, or round or irregular shape like pentagon, hexagon. Those are not considered very auspicious. They should be avoided. However, octagonal shape is considered very auspicious. So that land with all equal 8 sides is considered generally auspicious. Very rare to find such a land, but it's considered very auspicious. If the land is irregular shape, like pentagonal or hexagonal, it is to be avoided, but if not, then it can be rectified. Rectified by building a proper fence or proper wall to restrict the energies and divide the land in a particular way. Then comes the extension. Sometimes you'll find the land has certain extensions. Sometimes the land is extended and it may be square or rectangle, but it has some extensions. The extension is only considered auspicious in the northeast side. So if the land is extended in the northeast side, it is good, it is auspicious. Any other direction is not considered good. Especially southwest direction, extension is considered very inauspicious. So that should be avoided. Then we have the soil conditions. Now, after understanding the slope and shape of the land, it's also very crucial to inspect the soil condition. So soil condition is tested in few ways. First of all, the color of the soil. It is said the white soil is considered very auspicious for people who are philosophical minded or priestly or Brahmanical people. Just like, if you go to Vrindavan in India, the land is white. The whole soil everywhere in Vrindavan is practically white. So that is considered very auspicious for Brahmanical class of people. Those who are, practicing spirituality, those who are, philosophical minded, professors, teachers, it's very auspicious for them. The red color soil is especially auspicious for admin class people, the politicians or those who are in government administration, Kshatriyas. Yellow color soil is especially good for business class people. Now, it means mercantiles, bankers, farmers is good for them. Where the black soil is good for the service class people or Shudras. Uh, then comes the taste of the soil. The soil also has a different taste in different places. So, if a person is going to inspect the land, Vaastu, then he can also take some piece of dirt and try to eat and taste it. So, for example, the sweet flavor of the soil considered favorable for Brahmanical class people. Bitter soil is very good for admin class people, Kshatriyas. If it is pungent or hot in the flavor, spicy, that is good for the Vaishyas. And if it is salty in taste, it's considered good for the Shudra class of people. So it's also important that before a person begins the construction, should remove all the clutter from the land. Many times people think, oh, we are constructing a home of tower, everything will be buried under the ground. No. The Vastu principles say if there is clutter or garbage buried under the home, it will bring a lot of inauspiciousness. So before the construction begins, all kinds of steel or iron pieces, nails, plastic, the ripped clothes, bones, ant hills, termites, coal, or any junk or broken weapons, all those should be removed from the land. Land should be cleared. It should have only soil underneath, because leaving those things underneath is considered highly inauspicious. Burying the gems or gold under the land, like a golden shape, Anantashesha, especially in the northeast portion of the land, is considered auspicious. Or burying the gems in the center of the land is considered very, very auspicious, which is considered Nabi of the Vastu Purusha. So those are some of the important aspects. But the land should be cleared in general. No garbage or no dirt, dirty things which are unacceptable should be buried under the land. Also important is, after inspecting the land in all different ways, it's also very crucial to look for the land history. One should inquire from the people around or the person who's selling the land, and also the neighbors. Sometimes people who are selling the land may try to hide some facts. It's always good to look for the neighboring people. Inquire if the previous owner of the land, if he had any bankruptcy or committed suicide, or he was murdered, anyone was murdered on that land, or they filed bankruptcy, their business perished, or they became crazy, became lunatic, or they were haunted by some, inauspicious beings. All these things are very, very crucial, because that means that land is lurking those energies, and any subsequent owner will have to inherit those energies and inauspiciousness thereof. So it's very crucial to also inquire about the history of the land. I remember many years ago when we moved to Sacramento, we were invited to some home programs. So I went to attend the home program. It was an apartment complex. So as soon as I entered into the apartment complex, I had a sinking feeling. I didn't like that feeling. I didn't want it to be in that place. And after that, whenever I went to that complex, whenever there were some events, I was invited there, I went there, either the daytime or nighttime. Especially when the nighttime you went, I didn't like it there. I just wanted to be out of that place as soon as possible. But even in the daytime, I didn't like it. So that devotee was living there. He worked with the state government, and he also confirmed the same thing, that he didn't like that place. But since he came from India, he just happened to find that this place was suitable, so he started staying there after renting an apartment. So when he moved out of that place, he I asked him to inquire, and he inquired about that place, the history of that land, and he found out that few decades ago, before that apartment complex was constructed, that land was used as a cremation ground. That means the dead bodies were buried there. So that kind of land has to be avoided for building a home, because those energies stay there for longer time. Eventually they fade off, but it may take sometime 50, 100, or even few hundred years for that place to become purified. So it's not advisable to select a land which has some history like that. There are also some subtle energies for which the land should be tested. So the scriptures actually give us guidelines to test those subtle energies, which we may not be able to see visually with our eyes or perceive with our senses. So there are a few tests which are given, like in the land that you prospect or you want to buy. You can go to that land and dig a hole. With the permission of the owner, you can dig a hole in that land with, which could be 1 by 1 by 1 foot in the size. So 1 foot deep, 1 foot length, and 1 foot width. And that cubicle, you can level it on all the sides, all the 4 sides and the ground, you can level it. And then you bring a plate in which you should have 4 ghee lamps. The hole should be dug facing the 4 directions: east, west, north, and south on the land. So when you place the plate with 4 lamps, all the 4 lamps should be facing the 4 directions in the pit. So you leave the ghee lamps in the pit, and whichever ghee lamp burns for longer direction, say the lamp in the eastern side burns for the longest duration. All other lamps are extinguished, but eastern continues to burn. That means the land will be more conducive for Brahminical class people. If it is burning longer for north, it will be Kshatriyas. It is west, it will be Vaishyas, and south will be Shudras. If it continues to burn equal length for all the 4 sides, that means it will be auspicious for all the 4 varnas. And consequently, seeing the lamp durations, you can actually conclude. Similarly, same thing. If you can dig a pit of 1 by 1 by 1 foot and then fill it with water, and after couple of hours, if you come back and the water is still retained in that pit, that means the land would be actually good and prosperous. But if the water is gone, that means the land would be average. But if the water is gone and the bottom of the pit has developed cracks, that means that land would be very inauspicious. Similarly, another test is for, you similarly dig a hole with 1 by 1 by 1 foot, and then try to refill that pit with the same dirt that you dug out from that place. If the dirt is left, or it makes a mound on top of it, like a small mountain kind of thing, that means that the land is actually very good and auspicious. A person will flourish there. If it brings a level after refilling, it brings the same level as it was before, it will be average land. But after filling, you see a small hole inside, the land falls short in filling the hole. That is below the average, and that land should be avoided. Another test which is done is, the seeds. which generally sprout in 1 or 2 days. You can bring the few varieties of seeds which generally sprout in 1 or 2 days and sprinkle all over the land and irrigate it for a few days. If the seeds sprout within 3 days, the land is considered auspicious. If they take 5 days, it is considered average. If they take 7 or more days, it's considered below average, and such a land should be avoided. So these are some of the subtle energy tests for the land. Then next consideration is the adjusting surroundings, like the buildings or the piece of land. So say for example, you have a small piece of land that you want to buy, but if it's surrounded by two big chunks of land, which is owned by some business or some wealthy person, then that small piece of land you should avoid to buy, because it's like being surrounded by, like a small creature. A rabbit is surrounded by two lions. It's not a very healthy situation. Similarly, if you have a small home or a land or a building that is surrounded by the two huge buildings, and in between the two huge buildings, that also should be avoided. And also, if you have a land or a home where northeast is completely blocked by a tall building or tall home structure, that also should be avoided, because that brings mental illness for the people living in that kind of surrounding or home. Also, the rainwater, one should make sure that the rainwater from the neighbor's home should not be coming to your land from the northeast, east, or north direction, which simply means the slope of the land is toward the north, east, or northeast side. Now, if you are sloped toward that side, the water will not be coming into your land. It will be flowing out from your land that way. Okay. And we also discuss about the land should be facing the four directions: east, west, north, and south. Now, some cases you may have that land is not exactly facing the four directions. So little deviation is allowed up to 10 or at the most up to 15 degrees. Now, 15 degrees on the higher side, but it should be no more than 10 to 15 degrees deviation. That means it doesn't exactly face east, west, north, south. It's little tilt, 10 degrees or 15 degrees is okay. Never below above that. If it is facing the four direction, it's excellent. Then another consideration which is also very important is the roads on the four sides. Now, so if you have the four sides, the land has roads, east, west, north, and south side, that land is considered very auspicious. But if you have the roads on the three sides, two sides, or one side, then the sides are considered very crucial. For example, if the street has the land has street or a road on the three sides, then it should be east, north, or west, or it could be north, east, and south. It can also be north, west, and south, provided the land has entrance from the north side. The entrance is always preferred from east and north side. So the land which has the roads from three sides but doesn't have the entrance from east or north side, that kind of land is not considered very good. The land similarly which has road from two sides, especially the road on the north and east side, is good, but the road on the south and west side, that land should be avoided. If the land has, say, the two roads on east and west side, so the entrance should be on the east side and not on the west side. Similarly, if the land has two roads on the north and south side, then the entrance should be from the north side and not from the south side. Similarly, if the land may have a road from south and east side, then the entrance is desirable from the east side only and not from the south. So these are some of the considerations in relationship to a road. Sometimes you also have the road which is coming and ending at the street, I mean ending at the property, like a piercing road, like kind of an arrow piercing to the land. So if that is the case, the piercing road is acceptable only in few locations, not from anywhere and everywhere. In northeast, the piercing road is okay. From the north or east side, it's if it's coming on the northeast zone, it is okay. If it is in the northwest, it should be coming only from the west side and not from the north side. And if it is coming from the southeast, it is acceptable only from the south side. And any other place, the piercing road, the road which is actually coming and ending at your property, is not considered very good. Similarly, the property at a dead end, so the road is ending here and my property is on either side of it, is also not very auspicious, and that kind of property should be avoided. Also, another consideration is surrounding areas. There should be no cremation grounds, no nuclear plants, or any dangerous industry like some electricity generating plant or some electric substation, and also avoiding a piece of land which is very close to airport or railway tracks or bus station or highways where there's a lot of noise. That kind of land is not considered very good. Or close to any waste treatment plant. So that kind of land should be avoided. Another consideration is rivers or water bodies. So rivers on the north or east side of the land is considered good, especially if the river is flowing from west to east in the northern direction, or if it is flowing from south to north in the eastern direction. That kind of land is considered auspicious. If there is any river or lake on the south or west side, that should be preferably avoided, especially south side. If there is any river or lake on the southern side, or sometimes people even have swimming pools on the southern side of their home, that kind of home should be avoided by all means. And last but not the least, after acquiring the land and before starting the construction, it's very crucial that a person should do the Bhumi Pujan. Bhumi Puja is nothing but clearing the plot and worshipping the Bhumi Devi, the land. And the construction should be started on auspicious timings, which is also given in the scriptures, which are the auspicious timings and all. We should be consulted with a good astrologer to find out those timings. So these are some of the considerations for land Vastu. So this is the seventh substance. Of course, the subject matter is very lengthy, but this was just a summary of what are the basic considerations one can look when choosing a plot for constructing a home or a community. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.